Just like the last game, Treasure in the Royal Tower has 4 characters, 2 men and 2 women. When I started this series, I forgot that most of the games are like that. Makes for easy shipping, I guess. If you don't like the girl with the one guy, then you like her with the other guy, right? If you can't figure out which one you like, flip a coin. Also, like the previous game, we have 2 older people and 2 younger people, which naturally lends them towards shipping. And just in case you can't follow me, I'm saying the game setup alone makes it seem like we get Dexter with Professor Hotchkiss and Jacques with Lisa. But do those couples work together? Let's see. La la la, I don't have theme music, la la la. Jacques Brunet, the hot foreign French man. He used to be a world-class Olympic skier, but he fell flat on his face. He humiliated himself and his country, and he's still pretty broken up about that. When I played the game for the first time, I figured he was run out of France in disgrace. Like, everyone made fun of him, to the point where he couldn't stand it anymore. He had to leave. But I don't know about that now. Sure, maybe the first month or so would be rough, but I have to imagine people would eventually forget about it and leave Jacques alone. I mean, I can't name any skiers from the last Winter Olympics. I think most people can't do that. So yeah, outside of the skiing world, I'm pretty sure Jacques has been forgotten at this point. Still, Jacques is obsessed with regaining his family's honor. He came all the way to Wisconsin because of something his great-grandfather said. And when Nancy loses his family's medallion, Jacques is so mad he refuses to speak to her ever again. Yeah, he takes his stuff really seriously, so he'd probably make a great family man. He's obsessed with doing right by his family. He's never going to give up on his wife and kids. I want to pair him with somebody who's equally dedicated and serious, but there's no one else like that in this game. I'd have to reach for another game, but who? I was going to say match him with a French woman, but then I realized there are no French women in the Nancy Goes to France game. Heather McKay would probably work, though. She speaks French, and she's just as dedicated as Jacques is. There's also the whole Dodo box subplot in that game, which shows Heather sometimes struggles with her emotions, just like Jacques. They could work together. But then there's a problem with shipping Jacques, with anyone, really. He's got a fiancée. Her name is Isabelle, and they want to get married as soon as possible. When Nancy asks, Jacques refuses to say which one of them is the eager one, but you get the sense that Jacques is the one who's really eager to get married. In his locker, there's a notice indicating that he'll be kicked out of America and get sent back to France unless he's married soon. So it's implied he's marrying Isabelle just to get American citizenship. That's kind of underhanded and sneaky. It's also underhanded how he wakes up in the middle of the night to sneak under the castle and break into the Queen's Tower. What if that's what his real personality is like? What if he's not actually a family man? What if he's just a schemer who uses other people to get what he wants? That makes him more like a culprit, and it makes me more inclined to pair him with the culprit, but I guess that was all just a fake out to trick players into thinking Jacques is guilty. The end of the game sweeps it all under the rug. He gets married to Isabelle and lives happily ever after. Good for him. I'm glad he got his life back on track. I don't want to mess with that, so I'll say Jacques should be paired with his wife, Isabelle. Or Heather, who might be his wife in disguise, Dexter Egan. He's a horrible, grouchy old man. He spends most of his life in jail, and now he's back at Wickford Castle. The first half of the game, he complains that everything's broken, and he forces Nancy to do his chores. The second half of the game, he's proud of Nancy for exploring the castle. He compliments her and worries about her getting knocked unconscious. But even when he's being a nice guy, he's still pretty gruff. It's just his personality, I guess. He's a grump. It's hard to talk about the romance life of a grump. Could you imagine him flirting with anyone? Hey, the radiator is broken, but you know what's not? My heart. It's filled with love. I said it's filled with love. What, I gotta spell it out? It's love for you. I'm saying I like you. Forget it. I don't want to date someone who can't pick up on simple conversation. Yeah, that's not working. I can't imagine Dexter going to parties trying to meet women. I think he's focused on his job and searching for the poem that Ezra Wickford left for him. That is what he's looking for, right? I like to think Nancy gave him the poem and it melted his frozen heart. Sure, he still looked angry, but inside he was crying tears of joy. And maybe he lightened up a bit after that. So if he's not going to actively pursue romance, I think the woman is going to have to be the aggressor in the relationship. And he's probably going to be annoyed with her at first. He likes being alone, he wouldn't want someone cutting in on that. But once she gets past the rough exterior and indicates to him that, hey, I'm actually attracted to you, he'd probably be a lot more amenable. He was mean to Nancy, then he became nice. I could see him doing the same thing with a potential romantic partner. That is, he's mean to her at first until he realizes it could be love, and then he's nice, or at least nice for him. I still have no idea who would do this. Professor Hotchkiss is the obvious choice, and she's closer in age to him, but she doesn't seem like the type to initiate a romantic relationship with Dexter. She doesn't even know his name. Well, she doesn't know anybody's name, but still, unless she suddenly decides he's attractive, I don't see much happening there. A slow-building relationship probably wouldn't develop because he'd shoot her down with an insult every step of the way. So I'm gonna say Dexter gets to be forever alone. He probably likes it better that way. He might regret not having kids because he treats Nancy like a substitute daughter, but I don't think it bothers him to the point of actually talking to other people. Professor Beatrice Hotchkiss, the wacky professor. As I said, she seems too scatterbrained to focus on romance. She's busy with her work as a professor, writing books and researching. She never mentions having a family or friends or anything, so I get the sense that her work keeps her pretty busy. Although I could see her wanting to find romance if she thought the time was right. Like, okay, I just finished thesis 14. What's next on my to-do list? Oh, get married and have 20 children! Ooh, probably should have put that higher up on my list, huh? Oh well, I wonder if any of my colleagues are single. I kind of want to pick Hotchkiss with Carson Drew, just because it'd be funny and probably torturous to Nancy. Hotchkiss dating Nancy's dad, that'd be hilarious. But I'm trying to keep it in-game for this series, so I'm going with Hotchkiss and Dexter. Like I said, if she's the one who initiates the relationship, Dexter would probably be okay with getting a Hotchkiss hot kiss. Alternate scenario, Hotchkiss is cosplaying as Marie Antoinette, which gets Jacques' attention, and he falls for her hard. Lisa Ostrom. Ooh, that's tough. On the surface, she's a friendly photojournalist with a fondness for talking. She makes jokes and spends most of her time relaxing. She could make a good girlfriend for almost anyone. But in reality, she's a sneaky person. She has multiple fake identities. She destroys the library. She does sneaky tricks with the medallions to frame Hotchkiss and Jock. She tries to kill Nancy, and she always carries spicy devil villain venom. That's a deal breaker. I'm not sure you'd want to date someone when you know there's a good chance they'll stab you in the back or end up being someone else entirely. I kind of want to say Samantha Quick because she also has multiple fake identities. I think the only other people with fake identities are Detective Beach and Johnny Roll. The murder victim from Secrets Can Kill Remastered could also be a good choice. They're both willing to break the law so they can make a ton of cash and retire in luxury. I think they both wanted to retire on beaches, yeah? Desert island? So I'm going to go with Detective Beach, though. I'm going with Detective Beach. But for the sake of argument, what could convince Jacques to dump his fiancée in favor of Lisa? Probably nothing. I honestly don't see it. I know she's duplicitous and sneaky, but I don't see her successfully seducing someone against their will. Nancy Drew. Nancy and Lisa definitely developed a rapport, although at the end of the game, it's clear that they're just friends. Darn you, Nancy Drew! You're the worst friend a diamond thief could ever have! To think, I almost became friends with the jewel thief! So yeah, they're just friends, no romance there. So how about Nancy Jacques? That seems to be the only realistic possibility for Nancy in this game. We could go with the romance novel scenario where she hurts her leg in a skiing accident. He's forced to nurse her back to health, and along the way, they fall in love. Nancy's father uses his lawyer skills to prevent Jacques from being deported, and they find Marie Antoinette's treasure together. But their love is the true treasure in a royal tower. Okay, summary time. I'm going with these pairings. Jacques Brunet with Isabel, or Heather, if Heather is Isabel. Dexter Egan, Forever Alone. Professor Hotchkiss with Dexter. Lisa Ostrom with Detective Beach. Nancy Drew with Jacques. Let's see what the crazy cats on the internet have to say. Jacques Brunet. Lisa is tied with Other, and 2 people said that Other should be his fiancée, Isabel. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he marries her in the ending scene, so yeah, Jacques should be with Isabel. 1 person suggested Bess Marvin. Not gonna lie, that might work. Bess seems to have a crush on him, and she's really good at flirting with hot guys. That's her personality type. As for Dexter, he gets Professor Hotchkiss in a landslide victory. So I thought he should be forever alone. Internet disagrees. He deserves love. As usual, Nancy gets to date nobody from this game. So sad. Jacques comes in 2nd place though, which I guess is to be expected. I think Nancy and the hot guy is always a popular possible relationship for a series like these. You know, the main character always gets to date the super hot person. That's how a lot of teenage series work, I've noticed. Lisa gets paired with Jacques, although Other is also a popular option. 1 person suggested Taylor Sinclair as the Other, which I do not see happening. Lisa's poll and Jacques' poll were the ones where all 4 options got a similar amount of votes. The other polls were much more lopsided. Hotchkiss gets chicken wings, with Dexter far behind in 2nd place. I love how the joke option is so popular. As I mentioned in my recap of the first 3 videos, Millie is another romantic option for Hotchkiss, but Other only got 1% of the vote, so maybe it's just 1 person who thinks Millie and Hotchkiss should be together. So I think the only pairing where I matched up with the internet was Jacques and Isabel. All the other characters get different ships than I do. This is why I am not a professional internet predictor.